This is Hard Facts.
Hard Facts. It's one Nigeria info.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the midweek edition of Hard Facts on your number one talk station, 95.1 Nigeria Info. Good to have you here. I hope that the day has been kind to you. The weather, even more so, it's heating up pretty quickly, and I'm just hoping that Hamatan, is that what we call it now? I hope that it shows up in full force to sort of cool things down. Has it been for you though? Let's talk generally speaking before we get into the major conversations of the day. Speaking of, Dr. Majid unfortunately will not be joining us today. He's caught up in another engagement and it's held him back. He really tried to be here, but he's not been able to get out of that one. So we're going to be doing this together on the midweek special today. You are my special guests, and I hope to hear from you on all the conversations we're going to be sharing together. We like to start off with the big three conversations in the headlines. Some interesting stories that we're going to be looking at in the course of the conversation, and that will take us till about 4:30 when we run through some of the sound bites, some of the things we couldn't talk about, they're still in the news. We're going to be sharing that, and that will take us to 5 o'clock when we get into our conversations around this very interesting gender. Mine, of course. The woman takes off by 5 p.m. and I have a guest who's going to be joining me, development strategist, and we're going to be looking at exploring the values of mentoring women and what that will do to the community, the society at large. That's by 5 o'clock, and that will take us to 6 p.m. when we would then allow for you to sharing your own situation updates, eyewitness reports, and the much that you can share. So that's the lineup on the show today. We're just a little short because Dr. Majid is not here, but I believe that you all being a part of the conversation will make it even more at the time. We're not really going to be feeling bereft as such, seeing as he's not here. The conversation is also being streamed live. That's the big three, being streamed live on our social media handles. You want to go to Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info Abuja on both channels, both platforms, Nigeria Info Abuja, and you can join us there. Did I not say my name? I'm Somi, welcoming you. Somi is how it's spelled. It's short for Somi, and I'm excited to be doing this with you today. All right, let's get the conversation started, shall we? Starting with an update from the Department of State Services. One thing that we've all been very particular about, the one thing that we cry out for, whether it's in a conversation around insecurity or just good governance and all of that, everything basically comes down to being able to hold people accountable, right? And instances, especially as it concerns insecurity, we've seen this approach where, you're hearing one of three things, right? You either hear that people who are constituting a threat to the country have been neutralized, or in some instances they are actually apprehended, but convictions are a bit slow in coming, really. So there's not a lot to be said for making examples of even the people that have been caught. And then the unfortunate one, I think, is where you're now having to negotiate with these terrorists, right? So it's a good thing, I guess, when we get a bit of an update, but we expect that it's something that should make us feel like, okay, yeah, well, we're on track as far as holding people responsible for their actions, yeah? Well, the DSS, Department of State Services, has come out to give some updates and to talk about basically challenges that have bedeviled them when it comes to prosecuting suspects, terrorist suspects. And they've come out to say that procedural issues are one of the biggest things behind the delay in trial of terrorism suspects. Looking at as far back as 2011 bombings of the UN building in Abuja, the suspect involved two people, Khalid al-Barnawi, the alleged mastermind who's said to be a top commander of Ansaru, and four others, I think, standing trial on before the Federal High Court on terrorism-related charges. But concerning these particular two suspects, we have two names: Mahmoud Muhammad Usman, aka Abu Bara, and also Mahmoud al-Nigeri. I think that's the pronunciation. So you have a number of terrorists who have been caught, who have been apprehended, and they've been back and forth in and out of court, and still nothing decisive yet as far as their convictions go. So let's look at some names again. I go back to Khalid al-Barnawi, the alleged mastermind, who was said to be top commander of Ansaru, and the four others standing trial before a federal high court on terrorism-related charges. Al-Barnawi was arrested in Lokoja, Kogi State in April of 2016, 5 years after the attack on the UN building that killed more than 20 people and injured over 70. Co-defendants in the case are Muhammad Bashir Saleh, Umar Muhammad Bello, also known as Dati, Muhammad Salisu, Yakubu Nuhu, also known as Bello Mishai, and on September 12, Emeka Nwite, presiding judge, granted accelerated hearing in the trial after the prosecution, through its counsel, Alex Izion, moved a motion in that regard. Now, in a statement on Tuesday, Favor Dozie, Deputy Director of Public Relations and Strategic Communications, explained that the trial has been delayed for an extended period due to legal and procedural issues, including the suspects being occasionally brought to court without any counsel appearing for them. Dozier added that a trial within a trial had to be conducted on October 23rd and 24th, during which videos of the defendant's confessional statements were played in the courtroom. There are a few others, linked with Al-Qaeda sect. So two names I mentioned: Mahmoud Usman, aka Abu Bara or Abbas or Mukhtar, the self-styled Emir of Ansaru, and Mahmoud al-Nigeri, aka Malam Mahmouda, who is Bara's deputy and chief of staff. These men were arraigned September 11 on a 32-count charge of bordering on terrorism, and the case is scheduled to continue November 19. Now, you think about how far ago the acts that the men committed were, and why we're still dealing with this. How many years later? DSS also gave an update concerning the prosecution of 5 suspects over the June 5, 2022 attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State, where over 40 people were killed and more than 100 people injured. The suspects in this case: Idris Abdul Malik Omeza, Al-Kashim Idris, Jamil Abdul Malik, Abdul Halim Idris, and Momo Utu Abubakar, were arraigned on a 9-count terrorism charge and remain in custody following the court's refusal to grant them bail. More suspects again linked to so many incidents. For instance, the June 13 incident this year, Yelwata massacre in Guma, LGA of Benue State, where dozens were killed and 107 injured. And the agency is saying that it's filed 6 separate terrorism charges against persons connected with the attack. But still, matters of legal and procedural issues is why you don't see these speedy trials as far as these people are concerned. They say they continue to make the suspects accountable for disrupting the peace of the country, in consonance that he will continue to make suspects accountable for disrupting the peace of the country, in consonance with the rule of law. But the question now remains, does it just end with apprehending them and then the back and forth when it comes to the court? Or should we see clear instances where justice is seen and heard to be done as far as these court proceedings, and these men are convicted outrightly and giving the most appropriate times to serve for their acts rather. So yes, apart from these ones mentioned, they say they are still prosecuting hundreds of suspects under the military's protective custody, whose cases are being handled by the Office of the AGF. In July last year, for example, 125 of the terrorists were convicted. So this is the report coming from the DSS. Tosin Ajayi, DSS Director General, said the agency remains committed to ensuring accountability of terror-related cases despite these procedural issues that they say are causing the delay in trial of terrorism suspects. So how do we get past this? How do we get past this procedural issues and delay in the trial of these people? Honestly and truly, is this something that is specific to the trial of terrorism suspects? If that is the case, then do we need to set up something special? Or is this generally the case when it comes to court proceedings across the country, across the different cases? Well, whichever side you see it as, one thing is sure, we're not doing enough when it comes to that. And whatever needs fixed, it needs to be fixed very, very quickly, because until we are clear on the prosecution of these people, not enough. Again, I think more often than not, what you see is a media spectacle being made of the arrests, and then it sort of like dies down after that. Imagine for attacks as far back as 2011. This is 14 years after, and we have not seen clear cases where justice has taken its full course and these men have been convicted. It's still, court dates being set and reset, requests for speedy expedition of the case. It's all just a mess. But this is the first story coming out. But the DSS did come out to give these updates, and would like to get your thoughts on it. But that will have to come after the break, when we also take some other stories. Stay with us.
More conversation, more talk, more right after this. Connection established. This is Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back. All right, two more stories, and then we open up the phone lines and let you be a part of our midweek special of Hard Facts conversation today. This time around, we're going to River State, where one of the facilities built under the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, in Ogoni land is seen to have collapsed. And this collapse happened just 4 days after the commissioning of the project. Of course, you can imagine the outrage among residents and environmental activists, seen as this was a multi-million naira water station. It was set up at Gwara, Kana local government area of River State, as part of the federal government's effort to provide safe and clean water to communities affected by decades of oil pollution. As it is, with commissioning and what have you of these kinds of projects, pomp and pageantry, all of that. Just last week is when it was inaugurated amid praise from top government officials, including representatives of the Federal Ministry of Environment, only for it to collapse 4 days later. Now, HYPREP is specifically in charge of, setting up projects that basically are aimed at, providing alternatives, given the nasty state of oil spillage and everything that has affected Ogoni indigents. The HYPREP project coordinator, Professor Neni Barini Zabe, constituted a high-level committee, he said, to immediately visit the site and commence investigation into the immediate and remote cause of the incident. Hilarious. They also put out a statement on their social media platform today, saying that they had visited the site. They are deeply disturbed by the collapse of the overhead tank at the newly commissioned water station. And in the interim, this committee was looking into it. And there will be painstaking investigation, they said, to establish likely structural failure of third-party interference. This is the statement they put out. Now, 4 days after, a lot must have gone wrong for that to happen, right? Residents in the community told news dailies that the water treatment plant developed structural faults shortly after its commission, and that's what led to the collapse of the major section of its reservoir platform. A local, Mrs. Baridam, said they were so happy when the project started running, thinking that their suffering had finally ended, only for the structure to give way. And this clearly, according to what she says, shows that the contractors did a very poor job. Environmental rights groups have since condemned the incident, describing it as another example of corruption and poor accountability in the implementation of the United States Environment Program recommended cleanup projects. Again, we shared the response from HYPREP and what they're saying about it. I think at some point he alluded to third-party interference. They want to establish which one it is. Is it really a structural failure issue, or is it a third-party interference issue? Unfortunately for this particular community, HYPREP maintains that every other place where they've had water stations commissioned, they're totally functioning, and this is an isolated case. They said they've had some running for over 2 years. But they're also trying to adopt plans to ensure that these water projects continue to serve communities. So this is coming from River State, and the poor clearly work done concerning this water facility. HYPREP, I think, has been in the news recently, and they sure would have a lot to say to defend this particular one. Looking at the picture here, it sure looks like a structural issue, but let's see what their high-powered, painstaking investigation is going to bring about. Unfortunately, though, for the people in that community, they're going to be left stranded, following the failing of this multi-million naira water station. That's the second story coming out of the headlines today. Look at the third one very quickly and then open up the phone lines to you. The Senate is at it again, this time around, seeking to establish a bill, or rather putting forward a bill that is seeking to establish legal and policy framework for Nigeria's transition from petrol-powered vehicles to electric vehicles. Apparently, this bill has scaled second reading at the Senate. Orji Uzokalu, sponsor of the bill, said the proposal aims to reduce carbon emissions, promote local manufacturing, and position Nigeria to benefit from the global shift towards clean mobility. Orji Uzokalu said the transport sector, which accounts for about 20 to 30% of greenhouse gas emissions in Nigeria, puts the country at risk of falling behind other African economies that have begun large-scale electricity mobility adoption. This bill seeks to create a comprehensive legal and institutional framework, he said, that would guide us into this energy-efficient, environmentally friendly development, moving away from fossil-powered vehicles. And he also added that the bill proposes the establishment of a National Electric Vehicle Development and Promotion Council to coordinate policy implementation across all levels of government. Adamu Aliero, senator representing Kebbi Central, seconded the motion and described the bill as timely, citing Kenya and South Africa as countries where there's been advancement in electric mobility, and that Nigeria must not lag behind. He cited cities like Kanu and Lagos as cities that suffer heavily from carbon emissions, saying that if we adopt electric vehicles, it will significantly reduce emissions, improve public health, and create jobs. Ositanguras, the senator representing Enugu West, said Nigeria's population size makes it a critical player in global climate action, and he said the bill will help reduce long-term effects of pollution and protect public health. There were other supports, other voices lending their support to this bill, talking about how it will also address health and environmental challenges associated with petrol engines. And the Senate President rounded it up by describing the bill as a very good innovation and saying that the chamber looks forward to its implementation. So yes, as it stands, it's been referred to the Senate Committee on Industries, which is expected to report back in 4 weeks. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are concerning this bill. Is this something that we can actualize? Is this a practical one? Do we have the infrastructure, if you will, to support this kind of thing? And also even more even more, perhaps the word is not troubling, but I don't know if you get where I'm going with it. The fact that they're going to establish a council, National Electric Vehicle Development and Promotion Council, to coordinate policy implementation across all levels of government. It's looking to me like there's a lot that needs to be done before we get to this point. But like I said, I'm keen on hearing what your thoughts are. These are the three stories for today's discussion. The work that the DSS is doing and their update on why terrorism suspects have yet to be fully prosecuted, citing legal and procedural issues as what is leading to the delay in the trial of the terrorism suspects. We've also talked about the situation concerning the Ogoni cleanup and a high prep project that collapsed just 4 days after commissioning, and took a look at what the Senate is doing, looking at phasing out petrol cars with their consideration of an electric vehicle bill. So I'm opening up the phone lines right now. Let's get your thoughts on these stories. We're doing this together for the next 1 hour, and I would like to hear from you. 0700951 0000 0809-597-4869, and on WhatsApp it's 0809-993-0137. Let's talk. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Auntie to me.
Welcome, sir.
Abubakar, Brother Pavasi, Mommy C, and the rest of them. Allah, I greet you. And I come from the agency, chief servant for the matter. Please, we want to know who awarded this contract in Port Harcourt. Is it the sole administration that just placed us or Mubarak? Understand? So that if we want to ask, we know who to ask one or two questions. That's a sign of embezzlement. What did they use? Is it iron? Is it precast or casting? You understand? I didn't see the reason. Those days, when they are constructing this Abuja Kano Express Road, you understand? You will see Federal Ministry of Work supervising jobs. But these days, even this one, they are having still one of their officials for 1 day. And shop is closer to the main road. For 1 day, having one of their officials. Those days, you will see them. I'm telling you, when they come, they will condemn from here to 2 kilometers. You start afresh. But this is, I don't know, is it party government? We don't know. So I think they should learn their lesson and take correction. And for the terrorists and the rest of them, that is where we find ourselves. We have nothing to do than to vote for the right people. God bless Nigeria.
The Access for line just say thank you so much for calling in. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Somi. My name is Emeka.
All right. Go ahead, sir. Could you turn down the volume of your device, please? Thank you. Thank you.
I've left the place. I just want to comment on this issue of the collapse of that water project. I don't know if you know something about 10%. You must have had it, or we may know about what is called 10%. And let me break it down for you. 10% is when a project comes, the minister or the person in charge For instance, if the total budget is 100 million, the 10% or is 10 million is the person that brought the project, the contract, owns that 10 million is 10%. It's not constitutional though, but this is why corruption has eaten deep into the very existence of our federal foundation. Stopping corruption is just like you want to end Nigeria. It's not going to end. This don't be surprised. This contract have been sold and resold and resold. I want me contract for 10 billion. I'll give it to somebody for 8 billion. The person will give it to another person for 6 billion, and that contract may end up being executed with just 1.5 billion. Now tell me, what do you expect with the policy? And for the issue of a vehicle, electric vehicle, how many of these our senators use CNG cars? They will preach, buy made in Nigeria goods, do this. They will not practicalize it. I thought that leadership is by example. Anybody who locks himself inside the house and start dancing is just exercising because nobody is watching him. They should just wake up. This thing is just mere fabrication. He's not going to see the end of light of day because then themselves will not convert to electric vehicle. They will still be using it. The fuel, petrol vehicle. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Emeka. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Yes. I want to talk about the collapse of the cleanup of Ogoni.
The hybrid projects, yes, in Rivers.
The Ogoni project.
Okay.
Please, there's a question I want to ask regarding to that. What time did they commission it? Was it when Wike was a governor or when this present one came in?
The report had it that this project was this particular one that collapsed was commissioned a week ago.
A week ago?
Yes.
Okay. No, but it was established during the week tenure.
The hybrid project?
The project was, yes, it was during the week government and then commissioned in this Probara time, right?
I'm not exactly sure about that, but go ahead with your point, please.
Okay. So I think I would like to let me leave that one because you're not sure about that one for now. Now the Senate should leave our money alone because now they're talking about electric vehicle. Now very soon now they will say they want to buy it. They want to buy it for 400 and something rest member. Please, anybody that wants to buy electric vehicle should go and buy and bring it to that. Not a force that people should buy electric vehicle. We can be managing the one we have. Let them talk about our economy first and how to fix Nigeria as another. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I just did a quick search. Reports have it that HyPrep was founded in 2012. A specialist unit of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources that was established following the submissions of the UNEP report. So 2012. HyPrep is Hydrocarbon Pollution Restoration Project. So I hope that answers your question. Hello. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm Chukuno, so I'm calling in from Cuba.
Go ahead, sir.
So I want to talk about the project that collapsed in Port Harcourt. Well, I will just use an example. There is this project close to my side. This guy is doing like a decking. They gave this man how much to do this thing. You understand? It's all about using substandard things and everything. Just like the last caller before this one said, the time we're doing this road in Zuba, the road in Zuba, that fruit market.
Yeah.
As of 2020, I happened to walk there that time. I know the organ that does the work. I know how many people and how many people and how many people and how many people. If you go there now, the road is rubbish. When you go there now, the road is rubbish. So that one no be new thing. Now it's something they do concurrently. You understand? And I'm not sure it will stop. This guy did this decking with 80 bags. Something that is supposed to do with how many bags? The project, what was on our listing was, I think, 5 bags per kilometer. That is the drainage. But what they told us to use was 1 bag per kilometer. That is it. And you don't have choice than to use it. So, beautiful.
All right. Thank you. Reports on hyper, according to people of Ogoni land, really and truly, the youths, the women, there have been lots of criticisms from members of the community and stakeholders, talking about how the quality and the functionality and the impact of many commission projects has come into question. Now, this is bearing in mind that according to HyPrep's reported successes and milestones, they're looking at different milestones across different areas. Environmental remediation, for example, has them saying that they've completed and certified 50 remediated lots. Substantial progress, they say, has been made in medium risk complex site remediation, with many lots at varying stages of advancement. And also concerning environmental remediation, they said significant headway has been made in mangrove restoration phase set at 500. They said they've commissioned several portable water facilities, providing clean water to over 30 communities in Ogoni land, which of course means that they have addressed a critical public health issue. As of infrastructure, they said to have Ogoni Specialist Hospital, which is a 100-bed facility, and the Buan Cottage Hospital, which is a 43-bed facility. They said these projects are nearing completion, talking about 76% for the Ogoni Specialist Hospital and Buan Cottage Hospital set at 93% completion. They've done a few other livelihood projects, according to them, which we'll get to if time permits us. But the key thing is criticisms from women and the youth especially, and other stakeholders, including diaspora groups, have come out to say it's not about how many you have commissioned. They've alleged that a lot of the projects that they've commissioned are non-functional. Some of them they have termed as dead projects. Of course, this one that collapsed clearly falls into that category. So non-functional, dead projects, and even considering early reviews that were done, including one from the UNEP program, which is kind of like backing this whole cleanup project. When earlier reviews were conducted before the closure of UNEP's technical assistance, they highlighted concerns about mismanagement, slow pace of work, and secondary pollution due to the haphazard storage of contaminated soil. So these are some of the big issues that have plagued them. And HyPrep themselves have also highlighted certain challenges that they have been bedeviled with in the course of all of this. But this is basically where it stands for people who were looking at, for example, what it is and what they've done. It's a question of things stated to have been done versus how functional they are, especially for the community members who are supposed to be benefiting from this. Let's take some messages and then we'll go back to the phone lines. Voice notes, as a matter of fact, starting with this one.
Good day, Madam King. Sorry, Madam Somi. If you promise to say something like that is the reason why we think if you want to do something in this country, if it's halfway you want to do it, that halfway, do it standard. If you want to complete it, let's see the standard. Why here immediately they commission a project and the project collapse? That is exactly what is happening in all the roads that we have been building in Abuja here. The one in back of the day, just 32 days after commission, the road was blocked to going through maintenance. Who does that? Have a nice day.
All right. Anonymous says, why are the masterminds... Okay. I would love to know... Okay. Says, in my opinion, our justice system is feeble. The government seems to lack vigor and determination to revitalize it, perhaps because it serves their interests. It is concerning to think that some individuals might be benefiting by perpetuating these terrorist activities. Okay. Anonymous there, responding to the DSS update. Hello?
Hello?
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Somi. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Yeah, Somi, see, the justice system in Nigeria is very, very poor. You arrested terrorists. To judge them and sentence them become a problem. See what happened in Nnamdi Kanu case. They said and acquitted from beginning to the end. The Supreme Court still carry it down. And thank God for the man that he will see the handwriting in the board. Nothing which he can do anymore than to say that he has no case. That is the ultimate of it. Because if he continues to defending it, it may take next 10 years. My brother, the legal system in Nigeria is for the rich, not for the poor. And the people who is behind it select who to favor and not to favor. Honestly, tell me, the people that finish the whole community, rape, and brought them in gay broad light. You are telling us that you are at the legal system and this and that. My sister, forget about legal system in Nigeria. When the number 4 become a number 1, you know say there is a problem. Thank you.
All right, then. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome.
My name is Adola Victor from Isalaji.
Mr. Adiola, welcome.
You see, one of our bane of underdevelopment is corruption. You see, corruption, I want to talk about this collapsed water project in River State. You see, and this is why we have not developed. Since independence, and now we're supposed to have gone far or be competing with some of the advanced countries. But very unfortunately, you see our leaders, and not leaders alone, but the leaders and some leaders are also contributing to the development of this country. You see, only God knows how much they spend on that project. And not to be done. Nobody will be sanctioned. Nobody will be punished. I'm not surprised. So I don't know how we are going to develop a solution because we have both the leaders and the led, we have institutionalized and culturalized corruption. We now see it as part of our nothing will be done. You see, for instance, look at the road. Lokoja, Abuja, okay, look at that road. That road was awarded during Obasanjo. Up to now, that road has not been finished. You see, look at the billions of naira. And look at the number of lives that have been lost on that road. And some people are happy. They are making their cool money from both the dead and the living. But definitely, some of them are vomiting that money. Directly and indirectly. They are paying for it, some of them. So let them continue to oppress like that and shut in ahead. You see, when you are world contract and you want to collect 10%, you want to collect it. So how much will remain to spend on the project? That is why it is just very difficult to develop as expected. It is very sad. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello, Somi.
Welcome.
Yeah, Henry calling back, please.
All right, go ahead.
I want to talk about the DSS, who have kept the terrorists since 2011 till date. What a pity. And they are receiving salary. The judiciary themselves are also receiving salary as civil servants. The federal government pays them. And somebody who kills people are kept there. And at night, you tell people not to walk around, because I paid visit to somewhere in Kuje area council. And every time, anything around 8, 9 o'clock at night, the army begins to disturb everybody. Even sometimes apprehend Okada men and take 5,000 naira from them. And people will trek from a distance or a different distance at night. Sometimes that day I trekked from that 9 o'clock till I got home around 11 because the distance was too much. And you kept terrorists there. Why can't you judge them and then sentence them to what they're supposed to do? These are not reasonable people. These are terrorists. I don't know why this country are doing this. Let me not go fast so that I don't mistaken to say negative words.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, we'll take one more call and go on a break, and then perhaps I can come back and respond to some of the contributions thus far. Let's do this. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Somi.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
My name is Salasi. I want to talk about this criminal that this terrorist that have been kept in DSS custody for all these years. I think our judiciary is part of the problem of this country. If it's to pass judgment on politicians, you see them fast judgment. In no less than 48 hours, they'll pass judgment. No. We have stopped the convention. We have okayed the convention. All this and that. But when it comes to people matters, look at the kind of people losing their life due to terrorism. Just take a look of what happened during Nyanya bomb blast, St. Teresa bomb blast, and so on and so forth. And they have been keeping these people for all this while. They have been feeding them with our money, with our hard-earned taxpayer money. You can't try it. I always give an example of Saudi Arabia and Dubai. They don't take all these things because whoever committed and is guilty, the judgment pass on. But look at our own. Look at how they have been dilly-dallying. These people can stay for almost 30 years, still going for court. And one day, they may get pardoned. Why the people have they done justice to people that lost their loved ones? I think something needs to be done about all this terrorism and whoever that matters. They should make sure that they pass the quick judgment against these people so that they will go and arrest. If they are to release them, let them release them. If they are to execute them, whatever the judgment passes, it should be done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Selassie. Less than 10 seconds, so we'll just go on that quick break. When we come back, the conversation still continues. A few responses from my end and more from you as well. Stay with us.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
Where heaven touches earth. Where
Ways and behind the scene moments. Kids FM. Let's play.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info. All the current news. From policies to politics, economies, local, and foreign news. We keep you updated on.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This country needs a marshal, needs a sheriff.
In some particular societies, especially in my tradition, a woman is not allowed to inherit land.
Issues that get your attention.
This thing has been a carryover for the time of Jonathan.
Yeah.
And they continue these billions.
your views against all odds.
My word is that why those households, why are they not following up their job? Like
The intense conversation.
It has to be given to her now based on sentiment. These are some of the challenges that women go through on a daily basis.
Okay, bro.
And that is
All and more on Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
In the world of movie chaos and trailer apocalypse, only one station gives you the latest and helps you make sense of it all.
I'm not here as a witness.
They were my friends.
Freedom!
Listen!
Know you, I just don't trust you.
So sit back, strap in as we take you through the world of the movies. Animations.
Smile and wave, boys.
Original soundtracks. And awesomeness of epic proportions.
Keep calling me with me. Tough guys. You just want to laugh at me like everyone else. Oh, nothing back.
It's the movie.
Awesome. I don't have friends. I got family.
Sundays, 8 p.m. on your number one talk station, 95.1 Nigeria Info. Let's talk movies. Right now, right now, right now.
Abuja today on 95.1 Nigeria Info. The Association of Resident Doctors under the Federal Capital Territory Administration has confirmed that some of its members have received payment of outstanding salary arrears and allowances. The group, however, says its indefinite strike will continue in solidarity with the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors until all pending demands are met. According to the association, 28 doctors who were owed salaries ranging from 1 month to 1 year have now been paid, while some have received their medical residency training fund. ARD-FCTA President Dr. George Ebong, who disclosed this in a statement on Wednesday, added that 47 out of 150 doctors eligible for the allowance are still awaiting payment. The FCT Fire Service has expressed concern over the poor state of its firefighting trucks and equipment. At a news conference to mark the service's 23rd anniversary, Controller Adebayo Amiola Zacchaeus said many of the trucks have been in use far beyond their lifespan, making maintenance increasingly expensive. He explained that frequent breakdowns and the rising cost of diesel have affected the service's ability to respond quickly to emergencies. Zacchaeus also highlighted a shortage of manpower, noting that the expansion of the FCT has not been matched by growth in fire stations and personnel. And finally, residents of Ushafa in Buari Area Council have called on the federal government to give greater attention to the security and welfare of people living in remote communities. The appeal came during the inauguration and handover of a new security outpost built by the Community for the Vigilante Group of Nigeria, VGN. Chairman of the Magbe Community Landlord Association, Ushafa Emeka Oheri, said the project was initiated to tackle the persistent security challenges residents have faced over the years. They expressed hope that the presence of the vigilante team will help curb kidnapping and other criminal activities in the area. And that's Abuja today on 95.1 Nigeria Info. Thank you for listening. More news comes your way, 5 p.m. news update. I am Joy Eberebe.
With all the stories that make the news,
The headlines,
the captions,
the breaking news, details of the stories.
let's talk about these and more.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
There's a place where you can get it all. Trending.
Dropping on their vehicle and running, leaving their vehicle.
A place where you can air your views.
I want to report the situation.
Only on your number one station for talk.
This is not the way. We cannot continue like this.
95.1 Nigeria Info. Abuja. Let's talk.
Welcome back to Hard Facts.
This is Hard Facts.
Hard Facts. On 95.1 Nigeria Info.
get back into the conversation around our big three stories for this afternoon. One of them, of course, one of the most pertinent ones, especially concerning insecurity, the DSS attributing the delay in the trial of terrorism suspects in Nigeria, including those linked to the 2011 UN building bombing, to legal and procedural issues. Key legal and procedural issues, if you were just wondering, like break that down. Let's really talk about it. First and foremost, there's the one about the suspects occasionally being brought to court without legal counsel appearing for them, and this would lead to a halting and postponement of the proceedings. So the one of absence of legal counsel. Also, another procedural issue, the commitment to upholding the rule of law and constitutional safeguards, such as the right to a fair hearing and the presumption of innocence, requires meticulous procedural steps, like a trial within a trial, for example, something that was mentioned in the DSS report, to confirm the voluntariness of confessional statements. Another one would be case management and logistics. A major issue, I think, within the criminal justice system that will contribute to delays. You have weak investigations, in some instances, really high volume of cases. Stack this up against the judicial system and the ability to prosecute as quickly. There's also the issue of inadequate resources. Apparently, it's a logistic issue and a procedural one at that. There's also the matter of limited time for preparation, and also challenges in tracing security personnel who made the arrest. These are some examples of legal and procedural issues, which, I mean, when you look at some cases, perhaps if you're going to look at the ones from June this year, the Yelwata killings, but would these same issues be attributed to that of the UN bombing, for example, an incident that took place in 2011, even though the suspects were apprehended, that's 5 years later in 2016? It's been 9 years. How bad or how problematic are systems that will be having these kinds of legal and procedural issues? Now, when you also look at the implications on the fight against insecurity, you see that these things have very heavy bearings indeed. Continued protracted delay in terrorism trials would lead to simple things, well, not simple, but I mean, you won't be surprised if it now begins to undermine public confidence in justice, because lengthy delays will erode the public's confidence in the judicial system's ability to deliver timely justice. It's only clear that will happen. And then there will also be subsequently perceptions of impunity for perpetrators of heinous crimes, and this can make the state's effort against insecurity seem ineffective. So clearly, if the state wants to be seen as dealing decisively with this matter of terrorism, especially when you've already apprehended suspects, it only makes sense that they are, all hurdles and what have you to ensuring their proper prosecution and conviction are properly dealt with and removed. You also think about the effect on the victims and the witnesses. They're denied closure and remedy. They have to endure protracted frustration and distress, because really, how long could it possibly take? Witnesses may face risk or become unavailable over time, and this will also weaken the prosecution's case. And then the slow pace of justice can be exploited by terrorist groups and their propaganda to portray the state as weak, unjust. Again, does the state want to be seen as this? Because all of this will only serve to embolden them, especially in their recruitment efforts, by suggesting that their actions will not be met with swift and certain punishment. These are some of the conversations that needs to be had at the highest levels. There's also the fact that suspects, because it now becomes a case of human rights concern. Prolonged detention without actually dealing with it decisively. It can now become a thing of suspects spending years in pretrial detention, sometimes exceeding the maximum sentence for their alleged crime, which violates the constitutional requirements of trial within a reasonable time and raises serious human rights concerns. This protracted detention also strains correctional facilities. That one is also clear. And then the passage of time can lead to the loss, misplacement, or degradation of crucial evidence and the fading of witnesses' memories, ultimately making convictions more difficult to secure. These are such detrimental implications, honestly, for us to have this as becoming the nature of our justice system. And I heard some callers saying, oh, they're held in DSS custody. Is the DSS keeping them? Well, you can't entirely place that on the doorstep of the DSS. It's simply a case of the weakness of the entire value chain, from law enforcement, like the DSS where they're involved, to the prosecuting arm, which is the Attorney General's office, to the defense bar and the judiciary itself. So it's an entire value chain, or entire chain that needs an overhaul at this rate. Because sometimes, even when the court is ready to prosecute, you might have things like what we've discussed about earlier. How strong are the cases of the prosecution, for example? Do you have all the evidence required to ensure the swift prosecution of that person? Or is it just a case of trial by media? Oh, you parade the suspects, yeah, and then that's it. You don't really do the work that is required to ensure that the court has no excuse, right? In some instances, on the part of our security agencies, you see arbitrary arrests being made, unlawful detention, and a failure to grant access to counsel that create procedural issues. And then for you, this have I don't know. I need a lawyer to explain for me this trial within a trial thing, just to be clear on it. But if you need to do that to determine if a confession was voluntary or not, that will halt the main trial, and it's just this whole mess. Okay, so there's a value chain at play here. And this entire value chain seems to be really, really weak. We'll talk about the role of the justice system if time permits, but let's get back to your contributions and calls on the matter. Call me back, 07009510000, 00959974869, and on WhatsApp, 009-993-0137. Welcome.
Yeah, Somi, good afternoon.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, sorry, calling back. We want to talk about the DSS and the terrorists. I'm very much aware that if it is electoral matters, it does not take more than 3 or 6 months, especially if it is the ruling party that has the issues. You will find that a judge will come out and then make the laws and judge and go about the case, and the case is being settled. But when it comes to terrorists who are disturbing Nigerians, who are making things uncomfortable and insecurity growing every blessed day, it has taken from 2011 to date. What is it? Please, I'm begging, if Trump should come immediately and come and blow the trumpet on terrorism, I think it will be good for us. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Neme from Asokoro says, for DSX excuses, though belated, is needless and a pure explanation of failure, a systemic failure that has eaten deep into the fabric of our governance. On the so-called National Electric Vehicle Bill, the legislators are, commending over? It's not clear, I'm not sure. I just wonder what type of influence the legislators are on when they are deliberate over some bills. It's not just approving or deliberating on bills, but how realistic or feasible they are for execution, because we are still struggling to get fuel for our vehicles. When we have crude oil but can't refine it, is it how to produce electric vehicles, the lithium batteries, or how to dispose the e-waste we will be able to achieve? Our legislators are just not tired of amusing us. Finally, for the Ogoni project, we are not surprised. It has been sold and resold several times, thus making the last buyer to execute a shoddy job. This is Nigeria, he says. Anything is possible. Good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome.
Hello? Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. This is Fred calling you from Gabi.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Frederick. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you. There is concerning this insecurity thing and all that. Now, the reality here is that I had the names and of those terrorists you mentioned earlier and all that. For me, the truth is that I don't know if you've been to Maiduguri and probably
Mafa, Kondiga, or some of these places like
Not
that?
yet, no.
Okay. Okay, good. Now let me tell you. The truth here is that you see there was a time, and if you could remember, at that same time that you were talking about, the Hejirika was then the chief of army staff in Nigeria. And if you could remember as well, this same Hejirika was sued by the Borno Elders Forum at Hague because they claimed the army went on a massacre during that Baga issue, forgetting about the fact that these people are defending the territorial integrity of this country. And our personnel were the ones that went to that very place first. And the whole fire came from everywhere. And let me tell you something, these guys are Nigerian. They're not foreigners. Even the national anthem of Boko Haram is sung in Kanuri language. These are our people. They are Nigerian. They sued that man. This thing started a long time ago. Well, you can't understand why that you have a government that cannot persecute terrorists as such. And that was how it's been lingering. That was the reason why you kept on having these things on and on. But the fact that a lot of them were caught, apprehended, and as well being given amnesty. That gave room, emboldened the rest. Now, by the time they do it, they will call for that and they will not give them the consideration of repentance.
All right, Frederick.
That is just, you understand, that is just the reason. So you can understand that if we continue with that, these people will still have a safe haven in Nigeria, believing even if they've been taken to court today, at the end of the day, they will be pardoned. But when we start hitting at them, persecuting them one after the other, we'll get the results that we need.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. A few more thoughts on this before we wrap it up. Good afternoon.
Hey, Auntie Somi. Fernando Spolemba.
Okay.
I want to just put a question. How will an electric car provide a job to Nigerians? When we have crude and we cannot refine. You understand? This is almost 3 years. We talk about CNG. How many of them are using these CNG cars? CNG to provide a job for you. Electric and you are going to electric car. Even the one we are using now, you understand? If your alternator is not good, I'm telling you, your battery will go off. So what are they telling us? How many of them can make use of that electric car today? I know one of my uncle that has an electric car. He fuck it. So I think they should be sensible to do what Nigeria will benefit. But all these things they are telling us. That's my take.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Perhaps the council that they're planning to set up might be looking to invest in a super grid that will power these vehicles. You never know. Don't knock it until you've tried it, I guess. Okay, let's do this. Good afternoon.
Hello, Somi, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Gerald.
Hello, Gerald. Go ahead, please.
Somi, quick one. Let me just first of all register the fact that it is really disheartening, the revelation that just came out from the DSS. I am a lawyer, and indeed, I understand, the constraints in our judiciary. It frustrates many of us. It does. But when you unfortunately get used to it, you stop complaining, except, every other time when the contradictions, the trouble in the judiciary hits you on a particular case. And then again, I have to confess, at a point, just like some doctors that are cutting human beings and seeing blood it's no longer a big deal to, they become accustomed to it. Some of us, sadly, will become accustomed to it because we are trained and we keep training ourselves to remove emotions from the issues that clients bring so that we can objectively go into it. But your humanity can be deadened when people are suffering grave inconveniences, injustices, and then the judiciary is not fast and responsive enough to solve those problems. But notwithstanding, the revelation from, the DSS is shocking. It is shocking. But be that as it may, let me quickly correct something. As I always say, our station here is meant to empower us with information, accurate information. That's why it's called Nigerian Info Radio, not Disinformation Radio. It is not correct. So I've heard it too many times. In fairness to you and some of your colleagues that have made effort to explain, but I think you shouldn't get tired of explaining. It is not true. It is definitely not part of the problem of judiciary or corruption in Nigeria when people come up and say that the courts of Nigeria, said that Nnamdi Kanu has no case to answer. He is free. They released him. But the Nigerian government is still, arbitrarily punishing him. That's why he said he won't enter his defense. It is not true. It is not true. Education is what will lead us, to truth. Education and truth are not, contradictory or at variance. It is not true. A court of appeal in Enugu State, yes, said Nnamdi Kanu, because of extraordinary rendition, he should be let go. But there is, appellate system in our laws. The fact that one court says this doesn't mean it is. If the next higher court says no. The Nigerian government went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, irrespective, the man has case to answer.
Gerald, I think the caller that called in today that made reference to Nnamdi Kanu case mentioned the Supreme Court judgment, which is why I didn't bring it up. He mentioned it.
No, he did not. He did not. There is only one Supreme Court in Nigeria, and the Supreme Court said Nnamdi Kanu has a case to answer. And that is why he's still, being prosecuted. It was a court of appeal in Enugu
that acquitted him.
Michael Zekome that said no, he's acquitted, singularly on grounds of extraordinary rendition from Kenya. Then the government under Malami Buhari appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court set that ruling aside. And Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. So because Nnamdi Kanu, the law of Nigeria, as imperfect as it is, just like other countries of the world, their laws say Nnamdi Kanu has a case to answer. Let us not stop swimming in ignorance and confusing other people. We have our problem, corruption, problem in judiciary, but this Nnamdi Kanu is definitely not part of it.
Thank you, Gerald.
Thank you, Somi. God bless you.
I mean, some would argue when you say it's not part of it, the suspended period of detention. The government only closed their case. Was that June or July this year for someone who's been in detention, on and off, but more recently, I think since 2021 or so. So it took a while for that to happen. So you might argue, there'll be arguments on some grounds that he was held in detention for too long before the government then closed this case, which still took us back to some of the legal and procedural issues which even the DSS has come out to say is the reason why terrorist suspects are not prosecuted on time. But again, I maintain the caller that called in that made reference to Nnamdi Kanu case mentioned the Supreme Court judgment, however, very briefly. So I can understand if you missed it, but he did mention it because I always try to correct that bit as well. Anyway, there's still failings in the value chain. I like the fact that you admitted to it as a legal person. If time permitted, perhaps we could have a conversation about how do we fix it, because we can't continue like this. I think that's key. That is Shunammite from Gidan Manguru with this message here saying, Senate moves to phase out petrol cars, considers electric vehicles. So my question to them is that we should now go and drink our Dangote fuel, Abi. Sometimes I wonder how we ended up with this sort of leaders. May God save Nigeria. My brother, it's not hard. We voted them in. Yeah. Group of persons, friends and relatives were massacred in Nigeria, took their cries to the Nigerian government, who turned deaf ears to their cries Instead, those arrested for criminality were granted pardons and recruited into the Nigerian army as repentant Boko Haram. These aggrieved persons took their cries to the American Senate. Hence, the Nigerian government couldn't give them justice. A listening government like America heard their cries and wants to take action on the evils and massacres against humanity. Now people are crying foul. Why? It's like those who are crying foul, the beneficiaries of these atrocities. Chima from Apo with this message. I'll just say this very quickly because our time is about up. I can't take any more calls, except maybe after the break, maybe one or two. But you say a listening government like America. Now, I see a statement like that, and I have to refer you back to what's going on in America. You think that they're so much of a listening government and they're listening. Is it because they listen to this particular cries that you say we're taking to them? If they're not listening to their people, aren't you a bit circumspect or suspicious about the listening that is being done? As grievous as that issue is, again, I've always maintained, we need help. We need foreign partnership on these things. But to say that people who are saying that the American government should not come in boots on the ground or what they call it, airstrikes and all of that, there's an analysis on Premium Times. Perhaps you can go and look at it to understand again what it is that we're asking for. I think we can have conversations about this without labeling people. Who was it yesterday that made an atrocious statement as well because someone did not agree with you? No. You can make your point and move on, and that's fine. But to say that because someone is saying they shouldn't come in the way you're saying they should come in, is somebody who is a beneficiary of the atrocity, I think is not a balanced perspective either. Again, we need help. What kind of help? Let's take a break.
Salim Outpouring Conference comes to the city of Abuja. It's a divine